So essentially, the U.S. government could be viewed as having sent people back who were protected, sent people back to their deaths.
Definitely. They definitely came to Puerto Rico as part of a territory of the U.S. looking for protection, because that's what people come when they have TPS. They come to look for protection, and we are supposed to give them protection, and that wasn't what uh, happened this time. ICE took them and send them back to Haiti, where right now the U.S. government is saying that don't go to Haiti because all the criminalization and the murders and all the things that's going on, and they send these four women there, and this is what happened to them.
Right, right.
So definitely they send them to. They didn't protect them, and they send them to a place that they were murdered. Definitely, and it's horrible.
Tell us about your union and why you all are so involved in this.
Well, we represent 12,000 workers in Puerto Rico, and our mainly is public sector. We represent workers in the public, both public and private sector, and our biggest employee is the Department of Education, and we also represent employees that have that are from the Dominican Republic. We represent workers that come from different countries, not only that Puerto Rican. So we know what it feels like, and we welcome everybody. And we think that if you attack one of our brothers and sisters, you attack one of us, you're attacking all of us. So definitely we have to represent and we have to fight for all of us because we know what it feels like. So as you were saying before, Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. We are a territory of U.S. We are one of the colony, and most people think if it wasn't for the Bad Bunny, what happened of the halftime show, that everybody saw it. Um, Most of the people think that Puerto Rico is simply not part of the U.S. and that we are not U.S. citizens.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and this is, I guess, sort of a double injustice in the sense that you have Puerto Ricans or the Puerto Rican territory not getting it the respect it deserves. One,
Mhm.
and then four Haitian women who were in a U.S. territory seeking protection and protective status from violence in Haiti, and
Mhm.
then a U.S. government agency, because there's a debate about what ICE really is and whether or not it's really law enforcement, whether even the people they're hiring in ICE are real people, because people have been known just because I'm going to work for ICE and go catch people and they just give them a job. So this so-called agency deports, as you said, four women whom the United States has recognized are from a country where there's violence. That's why they have protective status. Sends
Mhm.
them back to the country of Haiti with the violence, and they're decapitated. Do we know anything about their assailants or their murderers, Mariceli?
Um, right now, we don't have any information. Like I told you, the saddest thing here is that um, since we came out in the news and we made the press release that we didn't tolerate what happened to these four women, and we definitely need to speak up for them and raise our voice for them, um, because the government here in Puerto Rico didn't say anything, and we haven't seen anything else that either the news or the government has been saying about what happened to them, and that what would if there are gonna be any consequences, or what the investigation of what happened to them is going through, or what is the stage of that investigation right now. We don't have that. I don't have that information right now, and if there's something going on, I don't have it right now.
And so the decapitations occurred on the border of Haiti and Dominican Republic. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And obviously, we've not heard, or have we, any response or any initiation of an investigation on the part of either Haiti or the Dominican Republic?
No. I think that's something that I read on the news, and I'm just saying something that I read. It was something about the gangs.
Mhm.
So I think that that's the way they are relating it, and that was it. So I haven't seen any more ongoing investigation or ongoing news about it. It's like we just put on this release and that's it.
How soon after their deportation were their remains found decapitated, Mariceli?
I don't have that information right now, but something that is going on in Puerto Rico, in general, because I don't have the information right now. But I think that once ICE um, take they invite one places. For example, they do it here a lot in Santurce, in Barrio Obrero. There's a places where they tend to do it a lot. It's like a window 24 hours since they take them from Puerto Rico to their back to maybe Haiti or Dominican Republic or another place. So their families have no communications with them.
Yeah.
That 24 to 48 hours window.
Do we know their names at all?
The names of the women's?
Yes. Do we know
No,
that?
I don't. No, I don't have them.
Because at some point we should get those because
Definitely.
we need to say their names along with Keith Porter and Renee Good and Alex Pretty. Because it's not a stretch to say that if ICE had not deported these women, they probably wouldn't be dead, correct?
Hmm. Definitely. We need to say their names. Definitely. We need to give them um, their faces because, as I was telling first in the interview, they are somebody's mother. They are somebody's daughter. They are somebody's aunt. And at this point, I think that in Puerto Rico, we all know someone that um, has a story that ICE has knocked their doors, has a story with ICE, and that's simply something that can be happening anymore. We're not supposed to be afraid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's horrible, like just to really think that when you travel and you go to your church or you go to the hospital or you go to school, is my kid gonna come back? If I'm gonna be treated because I'm feeling sick, am I gonna come back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
It's
yeah, no, this and them just update people on the news. A judge has ruled against canceling TPS for Haitians, temporary protective status. It's temporary though. The Trump administration has till February 19th to reply to appeal the judge's ruling. Um, the judge is also saying, Judge Anna Reyes in Washington, um, uh, she has received death threats um, as a result of her ruling blocking the Trump administration from ending temporary protective status. So that's how intense and high stakes this is, folks. This issue, um, and it's. Let me ask you something, Mariceli, and again, folks. Mariceli Gonzalez, Vice President of the Puerto Rican Workers Union, Local 1996, part of the Service Employees International Union. Shout out to April Verrett and the whole team over there. Um, we know that Haitians are not only not very safe in Haiti, but they're not very safe in the DR either.
mhm.
There's some. That's why it's really interesting, Mariceli, that this would happen on the border. So everybody kind of has plausible deniability. This really sounds very conspiratorial. Um, um, talk to us, if you would, about that, the cultural piece, because we know in the DR there's some discrimination against Haitians. What's different about Puerto Rico that Haitians are Haitians more accepted there? What is it about Puerto Rico where these women could go and feel more comfortable and feel safer as opposed to another Spanish speaking country like the DR?
I think that Puerto Rico, what we have is our citizenship. Of course, we're U.S. citizens, And I think that of course they come because they feel welcome. We Puerto Ricans, we come from, we are all from different colors, like I say, you know.
Okay.
So we are very welcoming people. It doesn't matter where you come from. We're always gonna give you something to eat. We offer you something like comfort food. We offer welcome you to our home, and this is how Puerto Ricans are. That's how we are. That's how we grow up to be. So I think that's how way that they feel welcome, and they also because they feel protected because they have TPS
Mhm.
because they feel that the government is going to protect them because that's what the government is supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's I think that's the main reason why. Is you were saying before it's not they're not supposed to be feeling insecure and about what's happening with the judge. I think that it's very important that she stood up and she's doing what is right, what the judge is doing. Definitely provide them protection because they need it. Not only for the Haitians, you know, for the all the Americans in Central and South America that need TPS because they came to America to not to U.S. because America is a whole continent, right? Um, so they come to the U.S. because they need protection. And when TPS was provided, first was to give them protection and to make them feel safe. And they come to Puerto Rico to make them feel safe. So that's what we're supposed to be doing. Provide them that safety, provide them the needs that they have. So they are feeling and they can build their home in Puerto Rico. I
Mm.
think that's the most important thing. So you can be, if you run from your home because you don't feel safe, and you come to another country and you come to Puerto Rico, you come to Puerto Rico so you can be able to build your new home. That's what you want to do. You want to start your family and stretch your roots and begin to feel safe again. That's what we want to provide to all the workers here.
Do we have any idea how many Haitians are in Puerto Rico in general?
It's thousands of them.
Wow. I wonder why they targeted these women in particular.
They're targeting everyone, but I don't know.
So
They're like, I
you mean
think that
they're kicking out, they're targeting other Haitians and kicking them out. I see. Okay.
yes, Haitians, Dominican Republics, they're like Chinese. They're profiling everyone. Yes, that's what's happening here in Puerto Rico. They're profiling everyone. So it's
We're not getting that news on
it,
the mainland, so to speak. That's, a lot of focus on Minneapolis and other places. In fact, some of that news died down. But we're not getting that news as much here, in terms of what's happening down there. That's pretty scary. Um, what is what's next for local 1996 in terms of this case, if not in terms of the deportations in general? What's next for you all? What are your next steps?
our next steps are to move against definitely mobilizations. We're aligning with other organizations. For example, we're working with Enjambre, with this group that has collided with different nonprofits and organizations that are working to work a plan with different um, legal aids and working legal plans to oriented the different communities to teach them and talk to them about what you can do, what are your 1, 2, 3 steps if you had a problem. And definitely what we have to do is organize and mobilize.
Yeah, yeah.
We saw it in Minnesota, we saw it in every place. So when the workers organize and we mobilize, the government takes action. So in order to the government to take actions, we have to continue to organize and mobilize because that's the only way that our voices are going to be heard.
What standing would the government of Puerto Rico have against ICE as a territory. I mean, we've got governors here in this country pushing back against ICE, and it's not going that well. What do you think that the government in Puerto Rico could make a difference?
She could make a big difference, but right now she's aligning with ICE. She's not doing this. Yes. I
And
would
she,
like to.
and
I would like to tell you
I'll-
otherwise. I would love to tell you otherwise, but it's not. Right now, she's not taking a step up and saying ICE is not going to be making more deportations here in Puerto Rico. I'm going to protect the people. That's not what is going on here in Puerto Rico.
And we're talking about Jennifer Gonzalez Colon.
Yes.
She's the governor.
Yes, she's the governor.
She's with ICE.
Yes. Well, she hasn't. Well, I think that when you don't say, when you don't speak up and you don't say that you're against ICE,
Right.
then that's always saying that something. If you don't say that you're against it, then you may be with it.
Okay.
If you don't speak up.
Well, that Dr. King said that at some point silence is betrayal. So that's real. Mariceli Gonzalez of SCIU down in Puerto Rico. Mariceli, stay with me for a moment. We're going to do a little fundraising here for WPFW. Joining us now, our PD, our program director, Katia Stitt. And folks, this is our winter pledge drive, right, Katia?
That's absolutely right. Excuse me, Mark, and nice to be with you, Mariceli. And our goal for this hour, forgive my voice, is $500. And again, we are looking for sustaining members. That would be a member that would pledge a certain amount every month. But today, Reverend Mark will get the entire amount credited. So if you're out there and you can do a sustaining pledge of $100, if we have 5 people doing that, we will make the goal. 6 people doing that will exceed the goal. This is people-powered radio. This is why we can talk about, for instance, this issue of this horrific murder of these 4 women that is completely ignored in legacy media here in this country. Completely ignored. And it's ignored for a reason. We have to remember that. We highlight these stories because the people deserve to know all that is going on. The people deserve to know how horrific these ICE policies have been and how detrimental they have been to families and to individuals and to communities, right? But legacy media doesn't want you to know that because they are in line with the governmental narrative that ICE is somehow helping us. We know better. We know better. And we also know that we keep us safe. But the only way we can keep us safe is to have the information that Michael Nacelle was on my mind. Sorry. Yeah, right. Reverend Mark is bringing forth this morning. So again, we ask you to please make that call, make that click that makes the difference. $500 to go. You can connect with us by going to WPFWFM.org. You can also go online. You can also, forgive me, you can also call by 800-222-9739 or WPFWFM.org. Those are the ways to connect, or 202-588-9739 if you prefer that local number. But please support the good work that Reverend Mark Thompson brings us every week. This is relevant, it's resonant, it's timely, and it's the information that we all need to know how we need to move in this world to protect us, all of us. Mark?
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you so much, Katia. And do I have the Cash App right? On the screen, WPFWFM.
That's right. $ WPFWFM. You got it right.
So WPFWFM.org, 800-222-9739, and also $, WPFWFM. Please, ma'am, please, sir, we want you to give generously. Some of our other colleagues, peers, in public media and listener-supported media are going away by design. Now, the thing about PFW and Pacifica, the clown can't quite touch us that we know of. I mean, I know he's probably going to try to figure it out, probably listening right now. But as long as we're here, you see, we can do this. This can work. We are going to need this. I was just on a call with some journalists. What are we going to do? We're not getting accuracy out. Our guest, Mariceli, is talking about what's going on in Puerto Rico,
Right.
And legacy media is not covering that. And so it's going to take independent media like ours to do it.
Right.
Please, ma'am, please, sir, WPFWFM.org, 800-222-9739, Cash App WPFW FM.
And Mark, could I just add one more thing to what you've just said?
Right.
It also takes, like, the guests that you choose, like Mariceli. It takes people on the other side, our guests, who are willing to step up and share information, to be courageous and share information. And also, you have to remember, it's not just independent media. It's independent media that is really focused on the liberation of all people, because not all independent media is focused on that. We have to remember that there's some independent media working for the other powers, right? We are working for the people. We are making sure that all people are liberated. That is the point of Pacifica. It always has been since its founding, with Lou Hill, who was a pacifist. We have to remember he was jailed over and over again for saying no to war, and wanting justice and peace. So this is critical independent media, but it's also media that's been people powered since 1977. So let's just keep that tradition going. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Katia is going to be back with us back with us again before we leave all together, folks. So please, while we're here in the remaining moments, we would appreciate your contributions. Thanks, Katia, so much. We'll see you back in a few moments. Mariceli Gonzalez, back to you. Let me ask you this before we go. Bad Bunny, does what he did help your cause? Not just this issue of ICE and what's happened to these 4 victims and immigration overall, but does it help highlight and encourage a level of respect and regard for the Puerto Rican people?
Definitely. I think Bad Bunny has done it not only now, but he has done it in 2019 when we took out the governor, Ricky Rosselló, and he participated in the process that in the rallies that we did on July, and it was the summer 2019, and he has done it now. He did it now, and definitely he has raised up the Puerto Rico situation with the grid, with the electricity power that he showed up. So definitely what he's doing and what he has been doing definitely has raised up the conscience about Puerto Rico, about our culture, about that we are citizens.
Yeah.
And it's really showing the respect that we should be getting and should be treated as citizens and not as third-class citizens.
And lastly, what's your local's position on Puerto Rican statehood or independence?
As our local, we think that Congress has to give people the chance to decide it. And it's the people of Puerto Rico who has to decide either if they want statehood or if they want independence.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason of it. It's the people who has to decide, but it's the Congress who has to really let the people decide and give that power to the people of Puerto Rico.
I've noticed the past few times it's been on the ballot, it's been about 50-50.
Mm-hmm. But if the Congress doesn't give Puerto Rico the chance to really say that this ballot is going to count and what you decide, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to do it.
Sure.
We are doing ballots for nothing.
So as we go, we appreciate you. I hope you'll keep us informed on this issue. You all are going to continue to call for accountability and an investigation, correct?
Yes.
All right. Mariceli Gonzalez, folks, and talking to us about this very, very tragic story of the 4 Haitian women who were deported by ICE from Puerto Rico and ended up losing their lives on the border, interestingly enough, between the DR and Haiti. ICE deporting them to a country where they had been granted temporary protective status. And this week, temporary protective status is before a judge. The Trump administration is appealing a judge's ruling, a judge who received death threats for pausing the cancellation of temporary protective status. A judge is going to hear the Trump administration's appeal of her ruling to cancel temporary protective status. Maricela Gonzalez, Vice President of the Puerto Rican Workers Union, Local 1996 SPT SEIU. We
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
joining us here on Make It Plain, okay?
Thank you so much, Reverend Mark. Thank you so much, and thank you for your audience. And hope we can talk soon again.
Yes, please keep us posted, okay?
We will. Thank you.
Take care now. Folks, so much going on. And again, we're asking you to give and to give generously. We'll make another pitch. But in the meantime, if you don't know, it's on the screen, WPFWFM.org, 800-222-9739, Cash App WPFWFM. I'm supposed to raise $500, y'all, in this hour. And we got 28 minutes left. So please, ma'am, please, sir, if you're not going to get these stories reported on in this way, but here on WPFW. Amen. Joining us now, a good friend who I was actually happy to meet for the first time at the celebration of life of someone who was a mentor to us all, and someone who did some of his work in my home church in Nashville before I was born, in Clark Memorial. Emily Yellen joins us now, and Emily is going to talk to us about Nonviolent, a memoir of resistance, agitation, and love by the Reverend James Lawson Jr. Emily, welcome to Make It Plain. How are you?
I am so happy to be here. It's great to see you.
It's a pleasure to have you, Emily. Congratulations on the book, which actually, it officially drops tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right. I'm the co-author. It's Reverend Lawson's memoir. So it's in first person. It's his words. I sort of just made it into a book. And, you know, we thought that he would be here to talk to you about it, but sadly he passed about 1.5 years ago. And we finished the book, and I'm here. And his son John is coming in town to New York tonight, but we're gonna be here for the launch tomorrow.
That's wonderful, and happy that that's happening. I hope to be there with you tomorrow at the New York Public Library.
Right, tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So Emily, how'd you get involved?
I have known Reverend Lawson since I was 5 years old. My parents and he and his wife were friends. They came to our house a lot, and also they worked together in the movement. And John and I, his oldest son, were in elementary school together. So in 1968, when the sanitation strike was happening in Memphis, Reverend Lawson was a parent in our first grade with my parents. And so that's how long I've known him and his family. And the family ties are very strong. There's a lot between us. And ultimately, in 2018, I'm a journalist, and in 2018, I interviewed him for a 10-part series I did for The Root called 1,300 Men, about the sanitation workers and their families. And he's the only one that wasn't a sanitation worker that I interviewed. We had reconnected. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I thought, I was talking to him one time and I said, have you ever considered doing your memoir? I would love to work on it with you. He asked his family, and he had to ask his family, and they agreed. And we started having phone calls. We were both at home, and he was in LA, I was in Memphis, where I live. And we had phone calls throughout the pandemic and beyond. And that's where this book came to be. And so I took those interviews and made them into, along with a lot of other things, made it into the book.
Yeah, no, and so thankful that you did. A long history. Reverend Lawson early on, and of course, folks, the title of the book is Nonviolent, and that's no small thing, because Reverend Lawson decided at a very young age to practice nonviolence in terms of his conscientious objection to being in the military and going to war. Am I right about that?
Yes. I can give you a little nuance to it as well. So the first scenes in the book are when he's 4 years old, and there's a story which I won't give away. I won't give away the beginning or the end, but it's a story where he encounters racism and fights back with his fist. And his mother ultimately says, Jimmy, what good did that do? And that was the first question. And then she said, there has to be a better way. And he spent his life looking for that better way rather than physical violence or any kind of violence. And so he was really primed at a very young age by his mom first. And then he encountered Gandhi and Gandhi's teachings, and he met Bayard Rustin. And so when it was time for him to register for the draft, he didn't register. He didn't cooperate. So he wasn't a conscientious objector. He could have been, but he chose not to participate in the selective service because he felt that it was racist. And he said something to me which I thought was really interesting and sort of good to explain his point of view. He said, "I was prepared to die for my country, but I was not prepared to kill for my country." And I think that sums up part of how he viewed the world and nonviolence. And so in the Korean War, because he didn't participate in the draft, he ultimately got arrested, and they made an example of him and sent him to federal prison. He was supposed to be there for 3 years. He got out after 13 months. But we found in his papers, which are at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, we found his diary or journal from prison, and it is just amazing. We edited it down, and actually when I read some of it to him, he was laughing because he was 22 years old and he was very earnest, you know. And he has this one part where he says, "Whereas Jim Lawson will something, something, something." And it was really interesting. But that journal is just, that shows you how he became who he was. It was his younger self, but you can see him consistently throughout his life from that. You can see where it came from.
And it was after he got out of jail, Emily, that he journeyed to India.
Right. He got out, and the Methodist Church sent him on a mission to India, and he was there for 3 years. And in his first few months, he met with some of Gandhi's followers. Gandhi had died by then, but he met with some of Gandhi's followers, and he met Nehru, who was the first president of India, and he really steeped himself in nonviolence.
And he was there for how long?
He was there for 3 years, and then he went to Africa. And he spent 3 months in Africa in the summer and met with leaders of the independence movement in Africa. And so it was really, he was meeting with them before they gained independence. He met Patrice Lumumba, who was later killed by the CIA. He met some other leaders that are all throughout. And it's just, to me, that's one of the most fascinating parts of the book.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And that's, someone just wrote a book about Dr. King's relationship with African leaders, beyond borders, Dr. Jeremy Levitt down in FAMU. And that was not chronicled in one volume as well. And now we're hearing about Reverend Lawson and his relationship to African leaders. That's a very important history that we need to know.
Yeah, I think it's important because he was inspired by them, but he also inspired them. And his journey there was something he had always wanted to do. And he recognized the connection, between a lot of oppressed people in the world. And this idea that nonviolence is a way to fight against oppression without imitating your oppressor.
Yeah.
He would say that.
And you tell us more about that. He inspired them as well.
Yeah. Mark, I'm getting a feedback, so I'm hearing myself twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me adjust that. We're having some sound issues today. Hold on.
I just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. That's much better. Thank you. It was just a little disconcerting. So, yeah. So, he inspired them because, we decided to use the words that were used at the time. So he said Negroes at that time. So I will say that. I don't usually use that word either, but he said that they weren't used to seeing American Negroes, and that in Africa, they believed, the people he met believed they were all being oppressed by white supremacy in the same way. And so the fact that he was an American minister who comes to Africa and was interested in Africa at that time inspired them, you know. And he, in his notes and in his letters, you can see he keeps in touch. There are letters from Odinga,
Mm.
yeah, and other people that were leaders in Africa throughout his life. So he really was a global force, but mostly in America, he was what Martin Luther King said, the leading proponent, leading theorist, leading strategist of nonviolence.
Yeah, yeah, and that was quite an acknowledgement for Dr. King to give him.
Right.
Emily Yellen, the co-author of Nonviolent, a memoir of resistance, agitation, and love by the Reverend James Lawson Jr. Joining us quickly again now, our program director, and we're raising money today, folks. Katia, you're going to help us do that once again, please, ma'am.
Absolutely. And indeed, we are raising money, and we have raised money. We have $350 to go. And again, riveting conversation with your guest, Emily, and this book that you all are discussing on Reverend Lawson. Again, you know, it is Black History Month, but Black history is every day of the year, 365, as far as we're concerned here at WPFW. Although the information that Reverend Mark is bringing us today is extraordinary, as always. We have $350 to go. And if we look at that in terms of sustainers, that is one sustaining pledge of $30 a month. So if someone is out there and can do $30 a month, and come on now, we know you're paying more than $30 a month on cable. You're paying more than $30 a month on coffee. You're paying more than $30 a month on so many things. And we have to qualify this, if you're someone that has any modicum of privilege, because we know there are many that cannot afford that. And so we also keep in mind, when you make a pledge of support, you're pledging for those that need this information and who are in spirit supporting WPFW with their ears, with their energy, but cannot afford to pledge financially. So if you've done well and want to do something great, give that $30 a month, or two people at the $15 level per month. That will do it for our goal this morning. $350. I don't want to go on and on because this conversation is so important and we want to hear more of it, but we must ask you to support that which supports you. And Reverend Mark's program, Make It Plain, supports you. 800-222-9739 or WPFWFM.org are the numbers to call. If you prefer to go online, you can go to WPFWFM.org. And as Reverend Mark has put up on the screen, there's also Cash App, which has helped us out this morning at $WPFWFM. Mark?
Thank you, Katia. Folks, again, WPFWFM.org, 800-222-9739. Cash App, $WPFWFM, y'all. I need $350. All right, so please make me look good, make It Plain look good, and let's support WPFW. This we can't have these conversations in other places. We're talking about one of the most significant change makers in the history of civil rights, who probably does not get the credit he deserves. We're going to get more into that. Thank you, Katia. Okay, wonderful. So Emily Yellen with us, co-author of Nonviolent, a memoir of resistance, agitation, and love. That's true, Emily, but that had to do with his humility too, didn't it?
It did, but you know, Mark, a really interesting thing is some of it was by design. Reverend Lawson had this idea that as a strategist, he should stay behind the scenes and help sort of maneuver things, and he did that so that he said, I can operate more easily in the community when I have a low profile. And he and Dr. King actually in the Birmingham campaign agreed that he would not march, he would not go to jail, he would stay in the headquarters of the movement, which was at the Gaston Motel in Birmingham, and he would sort of keep training and recruiting and directing and strategizing on the outside because they needed somebody to do that. And he was a master strategist. And so you are going to hear and see in this book a behind the scenes view, and it was by design in many cases. In Nashville, he told me, I put the students out there. You won't see me in press conferences. You don't ever see him in any pictures in Birmingham, but he was there, and you'll read about it in the book. And so it's a fascinating view. I think that people will learn new things. Even people who are scholars of the civil rights movement will learn new things because he's telling these things in a way that is accessible, I think, to everyone for the first time.
Now,
Well,
what
let me correct that. You and I both know he did 1 million interviews, so it wasn't necessarily for the first time, but it's brought together and made, I hope, co consistent throughout. And so you'll see it as a trajectory instead of him talking about a certain campaign.
tell us more about Nashville and just how important that was and his role there.
Yeah, I would love. I'm going to do it because I know we have limited time. I'm gonna give you just sort of an overview of his role in the civil rights movement so that we get that. But then his life went on for another 56 years, and we'll hopefully get to that too. But um, the Nashville campaign was a chosen place to do it. They had done Montgomery. He came in 58 after Montgomery, and there's a whole story about how Martin Luther King asked him to come, and that's why he came. And he came south. He was from Ohio, and this was after India and Africa. He goes, and the first thing he does is he works with the Little Rock Nine and teaches them about nonviolent direct action and how they were told not to fight back. And he said, no, you have to fight back. You just don't fight back in the same way as the people who are oppressing or harassing you. And so he taught them techniques of nonviolent direct action, which are in the book, and said, if you don't feel your anger, if you don't express your anger and you don't fight back, that's going to hurt you within. It's going to hurt you for the rest of your life. So you must fight back. And he offered nonviolent direct action as a sort of scientific technique and tactic, as well as a commitment to the beloved community. And so that's really the driving force behind all his work. And it certainly is parallel with Martin Luther King. And then Nashville was where he was living, and he knew there were 4 Black universities there. It was the right place to do it. And so for a year, they prepared. They met with people in the community. Then they recruited people like John Lewis and Diane Nash and Bernard Lafayette and so many others that became luminaries in the movement. He recruited them. He and Kelly Miller Smith in Nashville. And then they went and did the sit-ins in Nashville and desegregated a downtown. It was the first southern city that was desegregated, and they did it. And that's the thing. Nonviolent direct action was successful. And then the next thing he was at the Birmingham campaign. And again, that was where he was behind the scenes more. And then he was a freedom rider. That was before Birmingham. He was a freedom rider, and he taught nonviolent direct action in Parchman Prison when he got arrested in Mississippi for, riding a bus into the city, an integrated bus. And then he was in Memphis, and his church was the headquarters for the Meredith March Against Fear, when then Stokely Carmichael, then Kwame Ture, but he was called Stokely Carmichael at the time, came, and he and Martin Luther King had the famous, Black Power or, nonviolence.
Is that the image on the cover of the book?
Yes.
Is that,
yes.
That's what I thought. That's what I
Yes.
thought. Okay.
The cover of the book is a picture of Reverend Lawson walking with Martin Luther King on one side and Stokely Carmichael on the other, and that's in Mississippi the beginning of the Meredith March. And then, of course, the Memphis sanitation strike, and that was he and Dr. King had agreed that the next step they had conquered segregation, at least in the physical sense, no more signs and that sort of thing, but they thought that was just the first step. They knew that their bottom line was always economic equality, economic empowerment, and that was what the sanitation strike embodied. And so immediately Dr. King knew that he had to be there because it was exactly what they were saying. And it was when the labor unions and the civil rights movement came together. And I know your first Gus was a person from the labor movement. And so, that's a really important piece. And then Reverend Lawson carried that on. I mean, again, it was a tragic loss, obviously a massive world loss that happened during the sanitation strike. But 2 weeks later, they did win the strike, right? So Martin Luther King did not die in vain for that cause, right? That's where he was when he died. And Reverend Lawson, I think, carried that on for 56 more years. And he and Dr. King were the same age. And so I like to think that he was living the commitment and the work that King would have done had he lived. And so when you read the rest of the book, you see him with the same issues, the same thing. He moves to LA and he gets involved in making a more diverse labor movement in LA, working with Latino immigrant farm workers, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and then he worked with something called Justice for Janitors, which was SEIU. And so he was teaching all of them the same things that they had used, the same tactics that they had used in the civil rights movement. And then he also taught at UCLA for 20 years and worked with undocumented students. And so I like to say that Reverend Lawson's life in this book will show you a straight through line from Jim Crow to the civil rights movement to today, because he only died a year and a half ago. And he had some things to say about our current president. I'll just leave it at that, and you can read it in the book.
Of course he did. And we're so thankful for his life. Let me ask this, Emily, before we go. Can this book, and again, congratulations on Nonviolent.
Thank you.
Reverend Lawson was a teacher. He was a
Yes.
trainer. Can Nonviolent serve to some extent as a manual or a textbook on how we can continue the nonviolent, the civil rights, and the labor work that he so successfully intersected?
Yes. You see him fighting the exact fights that we are still fighting. And what he is an example of is the 95 years of that. And we like to say it's a guide. You will read it, you will understand much more what nonviolence is. And nonviolence is a direct, active alternative to violence. He would say violence destroys, nonviolence builds the beloved community. And so in this book, through his life, you will see an example of a man who was committed to raising other people up and being constructive instead of destructive. And I think it helps in this time we're in to show this is a long battle. You don't get to march and go home and it's over. A march is just one aspect of nonviolent direct action. And there are so many more, and there's so much more you can do. And he would often say, nonviolence requires you to use your imagination, use your creativity. And if you look even now in Minneapolis, some of the demonstrations that they have done have been nonviolent. They sang songs outside the hotel where the ICE agents were staying about being, you don't have to do this, that sort of thing. That's a very creative way of demonstrating and showing a different way. And I think that's what we need now is this commitment from everybody. And like I, as a white person, like to say, one of my mottos in all of this is Fannie Lou Hamer, who said, nobody's free till everybody's free. So I feel like this is my fight too, because I want you to be free so that I can be free, so that we can all be free.
That's right. That's right. Emily Yellen of Nonviolent, a memoir, Resistance, Agitation, and Love, available everywhere tomorrow. The Reverend James Lawson Jr.'s memoir. And Emily, quickly tell everybody, there we go. There it is. Tell everybody where they can go to find out where you'll be appearing. And
so I have a website. We have a website for the book. It's nonviolentbook.com. Nonviolent book is all one word. We have all of our events. We're going to be in New York tomorrow night at the New York Public Library, 7 p.m. It's free, but you have to register on their site. We're going to be in Nashville on Wednesday at the Woolworth Theater, which is a theater built on the site where the Woolworths that they did the sit-ins are. So that's going to be amazing. And then on Friday, we'll be in Memphis at the National Civil Rights Museum, the site of the assassination. And then on Tuesday, the 24th of February, we'll be in Washington, D.C., and that's going to be really amazing. We're going to have Bishop Marianne Buddy and Karen Attia, who was the journalist who was fired from the Washington Post and for speaking out against Charlie Kirk. And we're the four of us, they and John and I are going to be on stage at the Martin Luther King Library in DC on the 24th at 7 p.m. And then we go to LA to Holman, to Reverend Lawson's
Oh, yes,
church
yes,
for 50 years.
that's
And
right.
his whole family will be there. It'll be amazing.
Wonderful. Emily, congratulations. And we'll talk again.
Okay.
Folks, I speed read the book. So Emily's very disciplined. We want you to buy the book and read it. I was going to talk about everything and nobody would, because I would just told the whole story. But Emily, I'm glad you stepped in, Emily, and reminded me, Mark, don't do it, because I do that. I just tell everybody.
Rosebud was a sled, right?
right. So Emily, thank you. Love you. Okay.
Love
and I'll
you
see
too.
you tomorrow night in New York. Okay.
Please do. Thank
All
you.
right. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mark.
Take care now. Emily yelling. Folks, we're going to get ready to get out of here. Studio, you're muted. Katia Stitt was with us. Folks,
Yes.
last call. We got to go.
Right.
But folks, real quick. And listen, y'all supposed to be giving me some money, but this is our drive. Give money. We're going to be asking for money for some days now. There it is, right? WPFWFM.org, 800-222-9739, WPFWFM with the $sign in front for Cash App, right, Katia?
That's all correct. And please continue to give. I know many of you will see this on social media. Reach out to WPFW, make that contribution, make that call or that click that makes a difference. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Katia Stitt. All right, folks. If all hearts and minds are clear, don't forget the book Nonviolent. And we learned about, let's pray for those Haitian deportees, those women who were killed as well. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made clear.